Hey guys, it's Supercoach here from Kick It to Scoops. I am the sole admin of AFL information, trade rumours and results. You want to be part of the show, Kick It to Scoops? Send through your questions through the Facebook link, which I'll attach every show on the post. And if you want to email me at aflinfolive@gmail.com, send through your questions and you may feature on the show and be answered your question from yours truly, Supercoach, for free. Yes, for free. If you want to be on the show, as I said, send it through and I'll get back to you. Go Saints! Too easy this is. Yes, Scoops, come on mate. Keep going.
I had a dream of having a successful podcast. You now may say, Cooper, why is the light so dark? But at the moment, I'm in the darkness of not knowing when I will succeed to the big times. Hopefully it's around the corner, very, very soon. Craig McRae, Chris Green, Jaden Stevenson, Jack Perez, Sarah Riley, Tom Morris, the list goes on and on and on. Hopefully that is and many more things where the future will be brighter. As you can see now, the light is starting to become brighter. Hopefully that dream will be realised, and not only will I be acknowledged, but the dream comes true. It is time to welcome back for the second season of Kick It to Scoops. I had a dream of having a successful podcast. You now may say, Cooper, why is your light so dark? But at the moment, I'm in the darkness of not knowing when I will succeed to the big times. Hopefully it's around the corner, very, very soon. Craig McRae, Chris Green, Jaden Stevenson, Jack Perez, Sarah Riley, Tom Morris, the list goes on and on and on. Hopefully that is and many more things where the future will be brighter. As you can see now, the light is starting to become brighter. Hopefully that dream will be realised, and not only will I be acknowledged, but the dream comes true. It is time to welcome back for the second season of Kick It to Scoops.
On the way to the arena, it is none other than Scoops. It's Scoops. It is Scoops. We're going out here. We're charging in. See, leaving the roads. We're going down the race. It's time. You can see down there. Time to go out to the middle. But how many runs today? 12-0. All it matters is you're going to hit it with Scoops. That's exactly what you're going to do. And you are all going to acknowledge me, the one. You're going to acknowledge me, the one. I am your explosive. I am the head of the table. I am king of fruit. I am Scoops. And you are going to enjoy everything here on Kick It to Scoops.
Hello everyone and welcome to Kick It to Scoops. I'm your host Cooper Gretsch, the sole admin of AFL information, trade rumours and results. I've got a very loaded show for you guys today, as I always do. We've got the world famous segment Scoops Goes Bang. Going to review round 4 and preview round 5. Going to go through my team of the week, my Scoops medal votes. I'm going to go through some Supercoach talk and tell you where I'm ranked in Supercoach thus far and what I scored for the round just gone. I'm going to mention some news stories about some injuries in particular and potential suspensions. And while I'm at it, let's start with this. You want me on Cameo, head to cameo.com/CooperG. Merch is plenty of merch on there. There's some new t-shirts that you would see on the website that have just been released. So if you want any of that, get yours today. There's stickers also, the stubby holders. There's all them t-shirts as I mentioned and hoodies on there as well and a hat. Let's start off with the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. While we know that the umpiring a lot of the time is not done well, especially in particular games. Now, in particular, there was 2 games in particular where the umpiring was terrible. The overall umpiring in general was 42-16 Fremantle v GWS. Now, you look at the number pure alone, and that is ridiculous. 26 difference. 42 to Freo and 16 to GWS. And what was interesting about that game was, if you didn't actually look at the stat, you wouldn't think the number at least would be that big, but it was. And in the end, now, if an account that big, you would think it'd cost someone the game. The GWS Giants were in the game the whole way through. Fremantle, there were some frees where GWS were a bit clumsy, and it was as outlined by some of the media people as well. But the number, though, itself was ridiculous. But in the Geelong-Brisbane game now, it's not so much the amount of frees in that game. That's not the issue. Particularly in the game late, though. There was a Zach Guthrie one where he dropped the ball in Brisbane's forward line about around the 15 metres out. Not paid. Fine. There was a Cam Rayner now. Cam Rayner did miss a gimme from the goal square. I'm not counting that. But Cockatoo, a few seconds prior, should have had a free. And this was also late in the game. Did not happen. Tom Hawkins late in the game also shoved Harris Andrews in the back in their goal square. Not paid. The umpiring in that game, in particular in the last quarter, was atrocious. It's cost Brisbane before against Geelong the previous year when Zach Bailey should have had a free in the goal square. It did not happen. That's twice in 2 years the Brisbane Lions have been screwed in Geelong against Geelong. It is embarrassing. The AFL, they won't explain themselves. They never do, especially in moments like this. And I'd be fair to say, if you're a Brisbane supporter, I'd be very pissed off and wouldn't blame you for being pissed off, and you've been screwed twice in Brisbane. So the umpires lift your game. Pathetic. Those umpires should be let off for the week at least. Now let's move on. So I hope you guys enjoyed that short edition of Scoops Goes Bang. Now let's go review round 4. So all the way back on Thursday night at the Adelaide Oval, Adelaide 4-12-36, defeated by the Demons 68, Melbourne by 32 points. The margin, if you look at the margin itself, 32 points away Porter performed this year and who they're playing. 32 points is not bad, but the fact that they were goalless at half-time and only scored 2 to 3 goals late in the game and finished on 4, that was the concerning part. But in their defence, they are missing some of their key players as well. Leary out in their key defensive line, Robbie Gray and Charlie Dixon up forwards, the 3 vital parts of their team. But it doesn't excuse the way they performed so far this year. Travis Bogue, though, continues to perform very well, having 36 in this game. Melbourne had a lot of even contributors, though. Max Gawn was a clear standout for them. But outside of that, they had Harms and Langdon hanging around the low to mid-20s. Just consistent performers. And they're on top for a reason. And they performed pretty well. And it was a pretty comfortable 32-point win. In the end, as I said, Paul got 2 or 3 goals late. So it really was around 50 points for most of the game. Yeah, we just briefly mentioned Friday night at GMHBA, Geelong 80 defeated the Brisbane Lions, 70 Geelong by 10 points. Yeah, you know what I've just said about that with the umpiring and everything. It was a close game. Tom Hawkins kicked 5. Lachie Neale was great with 30 as well. Dan McStay was probably Brisbane's best player, kicking 3 with 11 marks. 4 of those contestant. Probably one of their best players as well. Yeah, and a lot of even contributors for the Brisbane Lions. And as I said before, they'll be hard dealt by with that loss against Geelong. Now, on Saturday, we had the Swans 11-point victory over the Roos, 86-75. Credit to North Melbourne for coming back. They were slapped by the Lions by over 100 points last week. David Noble even said last week that their VFL got smashed by the Lions by over 100 points as well. They needed to respond no one was really warranting a spot in the VFL to come in. So he had to back the plays he played pretty much against Brisbane. And then, to his credit, he'd done some positional changes. One of those was Jack Zeeble playing forward, and he ended up kicking 5 and having 9 possessions, having a good impact on the game. He'll be really happy about a few other moves they made. Todd Goldstein playing more in the ruck compared to the previous few weeks. The Swans, yes, albeit they won, John Lommar wouldn't have been too happy with their result, how they performed, being hanging behind for 3 quarters, but to their credit in the end, they just got over the line. And as is seen at the end, North Melbourne had a chance to win the game. They got a 50-metre penalty from their back line, had a free in the midfield about 40 seconds ago, and R2 Boston-Malagi made a terrible mistake chipping it to Goldstein when he had a player on him, and then the game went from there, and then Isaac Heaney went bang with 5 seconds to go to kick a goal and seal this victory for the Swans. We're interested to see if Boston-Malagi keeps his spot in the Roos side this week. I wouldn't think so. Now, we can move on to the game at Marvel. Collingwood losing to the Eagles 74-87, West Coast by 13 points. Well, Adam Sims, with all the plays they've got out at the moment, they're starting to get some of their main players back. The only plays they're really missing is their entire midfield at the moment. So credit to them and the way they've gone in this game in particular. 13-point victory of the Pies. Craig McRae will obviously be very, very disappointed. Yes, they're missing a few as well, including John DeGoey, but West Coast are missing the whole midfield. So they'd be very, very pissed off with the Pies of how they perform in this game. They had Nick Dacos was very good, as was his brother Josh. Brody Grundy was good in the ruck against Nick Nat. But Pat Nation, Jeremy McGovern are probably the best two for the Eagles. And obviously their season four rounds in the Eagles with a win finally. Now the game on Saturday, or one of the games on Saturday night at the MCG, Richmond 99 defeated the Western Bulldogs 61, 38-point victory. Bulldogs, yes, they were missing Alex Keith, who's their only good key backman, but they did finally get to bring in through injury Tim O'Brien, their recruit from the free agency from the Hawks, and play up forward and back, obviously with their light on for key defenders. He played as a backman, but he couldn't help defend the Richmond forward line. Tom Lynch kicking 3, and had Jack Real as well. So, yeah, it's a good win for Richmond. Dion Prestia is probably one of their best players along with Jaden Short, but yeah, Richmond, they're hanging around that 8th spot at the moment. The Bulldogs are hanging around that spot as well, but they're performing so far lately has not been as good, considering they played in the grand final last year. Now, the other game on Saturday night, we briefly mentioned this also. The Dockers, 88, defeated the Giants 54 by 34 points. This game, if you just looked at the margin like they were always in control, they weren't. The game was between a goal or two the whole way through to the last 15 minutes of the last quarter, where Fremantle put the burners on, kicking 4 or 5 goals in 10 minutes, which made the margin look out worse than it was. The Giants were in the game the whole way through, but Tim Taranto was probably one of the best for the Giants. For the Dockers, David Mundy was always pretty good as well. Now, on Sunday, some interesting results on the Sunday. We had Essendon 103, defeated the Crows 99, Essendon by 4 points. Tex Walker was your return game for the Crows, kicking 4. It's like he never missed a beat. Tex, obviously, before he got suspended late in the year, he was winning the Coleman, so that was good to see him back into that form, kicking 4. Essendon, yeah, some even contributors. Darcy Parish was probably their best player, having 38. Rory Laird had 38 as well for the Crows. Yeah, they had their chance late also, the Crows, similar to what North Melbourne had. Lockie Gallant had a shot late in the quarter. He got the goal. Tex he wasn't really having a shot. For some people saying he was having a shot. He was about 55 out. He was trying to centre it. Didn't work in the end, and the Bombers just held on there by 4 points. Now, I know you've all been waiting for this one. The Saints, 142, smashed the Hawks 73 by 69 points. Obviously, people, if you're a Hawks fan, you would have been really happy how the season has started in the first 3 games, winning your first 2 and just losing to Carlton last week by a point. Would have been disgusted with how they went yesterday against the Saints. 69 points. They kicked the first 2 goals of the game, Hawthorn, and from then on, it was the Saints that just went bang, bang, bang. Gresham kicking 4, Brad Hill kicking 4, Timmy Membry kicking 4, and Max King also kicking 4, and 3 of those in the last quarter. He's the last quarter specialist this year, especially in the second half. So, yeah, Wings kicking 4, having 17 was good to see. Jack Steele doing what he always does, having 33. Jack Sinclair was also very, very good, having 34 off the half back line as well. Yeah, Saints will be happy. Now they're currently in the top 4. It's great to see. Hopefully that momentum can keep on against the Suns next week. We'll preview those games later on. And the final game of the round was the Gold Coast Suns and Metricon defeating the Blues by 30 points, 92-62. Paddy Cripps obviously went down to a hamstring, which we'll mention that in the news side of the things later. Lost him after the first quarter. And once Cripps was gone, the Blues were gone, and the Gold Coast just went bang, bang, bang. This game was close early, and as I said, once Cripps was gone, Gold Coast put the hammer down, and they went to about 3 or 4 goals up for the rest of the game, and ended up winning by 30 points, so they'll be pretty happy with that. And as they go in to face the Saints, it'll be an interesting clash next Saturday. Now, that is the games just going up. As you'll see the ladder, you would have seen already. It's on the screen above with the full ladder in full. And leave your thoughts down below what your thoughts are of your team's season so far. Now, we'll move on to my team of the week, the heavily debated team of the week. Now, my round 4 AFL team of the week, from the back line, the pockets, Jaden Short and Zach Williams. Fullback, Isaac Cumming. The half-back line, Jack Sinclair and Riley Bonnard. Centre half-back, Jeremy McGovern. The wingers, Jade Gresham and Justin McInerney. The centreman, Lockie Neal. The forward line, the pockets, or the flankers, Brad Hill and Tim Membry. The centre half forward, Dan McStay. The pockets, Tex Walker and Max King. The full forward line, Tom Hawkins. Now, I know you're going to say that it's a bit top-heavy up forward, but I'll get to that in a second. The ruckman, Max Gawn. The Rovers, Travis Boak and Jack Steele. The interchange consists of Rory Laird, Jackson McRae, Will Brodie, and Noah Anderson. The emergencies, well, there was a lot of good players, especially in the midfield. We can't fit them all, including Brad Crouch, Jai Simpkin, Lockie Weller, Tim Taranto, David Mundy, Darcy Parish, Jared Lena, and Seb Ross. Now, leave your thoughts down below of my round 4 AFL team of the week. Now, you may say that the 4 lines a bit top heavy, having 4 key forwards. Yes, you could say that King and Hawkins and Tex and Dan McStay more, key position, which they are. But McStay and Tex in particular are a bit more mobile, so you can realistically, yes, you could put one to the bench and put a smaller player in that position, but that's what I've gone with because all those players I just mentioned in that key position, all very dominant and deserved a spot. And there wasn't really any other small forwards that dominated this round, so just replace them with key position players who are a bit more mobile. Now, we'll move on to what's next. We're going to go through my Supercoach talk. Now, this round, as you will see on the screen below, who I've got in my team. Top 4% after this round, scoring 2,292 for the round. Pretty impressed with that, considering Paddy Cripps went off in the first quarter, or after the first quarter, so could have realistically scored about just under 2,400. So, if he didn't get injured, but he did, and to be top 4% overall, still, I'm pretty happy with that. At the moment, I've made 3 trades. This is the second time I've used my boost trade. And at the moment, I've gone with Will Brodie to come into the side. I've got Zach Butters going out. Look, as you can see on the screen anyway what I've gone with so far. Brought Jack Steele back in for Paddy Cripps, Butters for Brodie, and I've got Jack Sinclair too in right now for Daniel Rich. Daniel Rich is going okay. He's got a high break even this week. So if he does score around the 90, he may drop 30k or so. So with Jack Sinclair's price also going up, it's a no-brainer. Currently, right now, Sinclair's about 30,000 cheaper. I banked that money in. He'll go up again this week, and he'll effectively be at Daniel Rich's price next week. So you're just easily making 30k there. And if you go off average, Jack Sinclair's averaging just under 120, whereas Rich, surprisingly, is just averaging around 100. So that's why I've got on the move there. Take the advantage while you can. And if you ever want any advice, which some people have sent through of your Supercoach team, leave it down in the messenger on Facebook or on Instagram at AFL Info Live. So that's the 3 trades. I'm banking on them 3 trades at the moment. I may undo the trades, but right now, providing there's no injuries or COVID reason for players going out in my team, I'm pretty comfortable and content with going with that. Now, we'll move on to previewing round 5. We'll go through round 5 now. This game all the way on Thursday night at the Gabba. We've got the Brisbane Lions hosting the Pies. It's Thursday night, 7:35 Victorian time at the Gabba. Brisbane should win. And I know Collingwood started the season off well, but they lost to West Coast lately, and they're starting to trickle off. They choked against Geelong in the last quarter the previous week. Brisbane always a strong side at home, albeit they're a close loss to Geelong. they still should be too good for the Pies at the Gabba. Now, on Friday at 4:20, a twilight game at Marvel Stadium, with North Melbourne hosting the Western Bulldogs. Now, if you go off last year's form, Bulldogs would win comfortably, but both these sides are going poorly this year. Whether Bulldogs get any players back through injury, wait and see. I'll go the Bulldogs, but if North Melbourne can play how they did against Sydney, the way Bulldogs are going at the moment, that means they will give them a chance. But I'll go the safe option and go the Western Bulldogs. We've got also on Friday night at Optus Stadium in Perth, 7:40 Victorian time. We've got the Eagles hosting the Swans. Pretty comfortable for the Swans there. They'll be far too good for the Eagles, especially with our Nick Nat now for up to half a season. We'll get to that also shortly. On Saturday, 1:45 at Marvel Stadium, it's the Saints hosting the Suns. Both had great wins in the previous round, just gone. And, I'm going for the Saints as I always will. And they should win, though. They're at Marvels, not at Metricon, so they should win. And hopefully, now, as of this recording, the Paddy Ryder potential suspension is not in yet. But if he's in, he'll be a key part to tag team with Rowan Marshall against Jared Witts. If Ryder's not playing, it's fine. You'll still have Rowan Marshall and Jack Hayes up against Jared Witts. Should be a good contest in that area. But obviously, we're going to go for the Saints. Now, on Saturday, also, 4:35 at the Adelaide Oval, we've got the Crows hosting the Tigers. Interesting game this will be. Crows had that after the siren win against the Power at home, had a close loss against Essendon. Richmond had a good win against Bulldogs at the MCG. Ooh. Richmond aren't going to seem to get anyone back. They may get Nick Vlosten back very soon. Real 50-50 game. And because it's at the Adelaide Oval, I'll choose the Crows. On Saturday night at the MCG, got Melbourne hosting the Giants, 7:25 Victorian time. I'm going to go Melbourne, but hopefully Jeeves will want to pick up some form after the first 4 rounds. On Sunday at the MCG at 1:40 Victorian time, Carlton hosting the Power. Mark Pitnet should be back for the Carlton side in the ruck. They do miss him. He's their only ruckman on their list, besides a Category B rookie, Alex Murkov. Other than that, Pitnet's their only genuine ruck. So they clearly missed him having DeConing in the ruck. Missing a guy up forward, so they'll be happy to get him back. They'll lose Paddy Cripps, whether that's for a few weeks or not. We'll wait and see. But Poile, they will want to bounce back. I'm going to go for Carlton only because it's at the MCG, but they would want to bounce back after how they performed last week. And, or not finally, but on Sunday also at 4:40, the twilight game, Essendon hosting Essendon hosting the Dockers, at Marvel Stadium, 4:40 Victorian time on Sunday. Essendon just scraped over against the Crows. The Dockers are in good form. I know it's still a Marvel, but I'm going to go for the Dockers to beat the Bombers at Marvel. And finally, on Easter Monday at April 18th, 3:20 Victorian time at the MCG, the Hawks hosting Geelong. The way Hawthorn performed now, there seems to be starting to fade off a little bit. Liam Shields may come back into the side this week, but you would think, off the way they've gone this week, that Geelong should win there. Now, when you go through some of the news, now Patrick Cripps, I just mentioned a few times already, got a hamstring injury. Michael Voss says it's more on the side of a... He says it's on the side of a minor hamstring injury for Carlton, for Paddy Cripps. But as he said, he could think it's minor now and it could end up being something much worse than minor. But hopefully for Carlton's sake, he only misses, it sounds like it might be a standard 2 to 3 week hamstring injury. Paddy Ryder, as I just briefly mentioned also. Now, obviously, as of me recording this right now, the suspension or potential suspension is not in. Look, he stood still. Will Day ran into him. I mean, now they say about the head and everything. If he gets concussed from a bump, you're in trouble. And that's fair enough in that case. But he didn't elect to smash into him or anything like that. He stood still, braced for contact. And unfortunately, Will Day got concussed from it, or potentially a delayed concussion, because he came back on for a few minutes and then he went back off and never returned. So it's an interesting one. I'd hope for our sake that he's not suspended, and he shouldn't be. No one should be in that case where he didn't elect to go smash into him or anything. So hopefully he's okay, but we'll have to wait and see. We know how the match review officers work. Now, the other news, Nick Nui, as I just briefly mentioned before, also out for up to half the season after having a knee injury late in the game against the Pies. So it's a big blow for the Eagles. They did have last year, or a few years ago, they had Hickey and Vardy that let them both go.
Got no backup ruckman at all. They only got a young ruckman in Bailey Williams, who's more of a backup ruck, who will pretty much have to play as their main ruckman for the rest of the year unless they're going to alternate things and maybe put more. Someone else is going to have to pinch it as well. So is it Hugh Dixon, who's a young key forward who does pinch it occasionally, no matter who it is. And if it's McGovern, they're going to lose a key defender out of it. So, yeah, they're going to be hampered in the ruck for pretty much the rest of the year without Nick Nat. So it's a big blow for the Eagles. Now, also, one of the final things I want to go through now is my Scoops medal votes. How could I forget that? Going to reenact it like Gillan McLaughlin. Round 4, Port Adelaide v Melbourne. Port Adelaide, T Jonas, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, T Boak, 2 votes. Melbourne, M Gorn, 3 votes. Geelong v Brisbane. Geelong, T Hawkins, 1 vote. Brisbane, Al Neil, 2 votes. Brisbane, D McStay, 3 votes. Sydney v North Melbourne. North Melbourne, J Zeeble, 1 vote. North Melbourne, J Simpkin, 2 votes. Sydney, J McInerney, 3 votes. Collingwood v West Coast. West Coast, P Naish, 1 vote. West Coast, J McGovern, 2 votes. Collingwood, N Dacos, 3 votes. Richmond v Western Bulldogs. Richmond, J Short, 1 vote. Richmond, S Bolton, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, J McRae, 3 votes. Fremantle v GWS. Fremantle, D Mundy, 1 vote. GWS, T Taranto, 2 votes. Fremantle, W Brody, 3 votes. Essendon v Adelaide. Adelaide, T Walker, 1 vote. Essendon, D Parish, 2 votes. Adelaide, R Laird, 3 votes. Hawthorn v St Kilda. St Kilda, J Steele, 1 vote. St Kilda, J Sinclair, 2 votes. St Kilda, J Gresham, 3 votes. Gold Coast v Carlton. Carlton, Z Williams, 1 vote. Gold Coast, Al Weller, 2 votes. Gold Coast, Ann Anderson, 3 votes. Now the leaderboard after round 4. On top, surprisingly, on 8 votes is Travis Spoke. On 7 votes is Paddy Cripps, Tom Green, and now Lockie Neal. And now also Jackson McRae. On 6 votes, Ben Keys and Christian Petrarca. Leave your thoughts of my Scoops medal votes for round 4. Now, my final thoughts are this. Plain and simple, you want me on Cameo, head to cameo.com/CooperG and merge. As I mentioned earlier, the new t-shirt where it symbolises my 3 favourite sports, AFL, cricket and wrestling. See that new t-shirt. If you want your t-shirt of that or any other t-shirt, hat, stubby holders, stickers, anything, the lot, the hoodies, hats, the whole lot are on there. So go to the link, which is in the description of this video, and get your merch today. And subscribe to the channel too if you haven't already. So appreciate you all for tuning in to this episode of Kick It to Scoops. Until next week, everyone, have a great one. And most important thing of all to remember is go to the Saints and, of course, acknowledge me.